Coming up in the news tonight,
a protest taking place today against the Grand Bahama Port Authority.
Also, an epileptic patient alleging abuse at the hands of medical workers. And hear how the government is working to address housing challenges on the island of ABACO. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Roll-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Well, it was a heated exchange between organizers, residents, and officials of the Grand Bahama Port Authority as an organized march from the heart of downtown led to the steps of the Port Authority. Scores of Grand Bahamians taking to the streets to voice their concerns about the state of Grand Bahama. Our Romiko Knowles has the report.
Residents in Grand Bahama say enough is enough. A protest taking place today against the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Emotions running high today as business owners and residents of Grand Bahama assembled to protest against the Grand Bahama Port Authority for the lack of development on the island. Residents say they are fed up with the state of the economy and they have had enough. Those residents took to the streets to have their voices heard in the form of a march which led to the doorsteps of the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Local businessman Darren Cooper leading the crowd of protesters as he presented the president of the port, Ian Roll, with the document.
This is the document, sir, from the people of Grand Bahama, business owners with issues and concerns. And we've asked the port to answer us within 30 days of this document. We look forward to hearing from you.
After receiving the document, President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority addressed protesters.
We are open to any sort of constructive criticism at the Port Authority. We want to be the best. Right now, we want to be the best in terms of delivery of services and our responsibilities based on the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. There are some people who do not understand what is in the agreement, and I would encourage them to please read that agreement and all the amendments.
The words of the president were not well received by protesters. Addressing the port president, former member of parliament for Pine Ridge, Frederick McAlpine, says he simply wants port officials to know that people in Grand Bahama are hurting.
And we also want the Port Authority to know that since the death of Edward St. George, this island has been lacking vision. Yes. And where there is no vision, we as a people tend to perish. And so at the same time we're saying, we understand that we're hurting and we understand that things are bad. But we also say we want empathy and sympathy from the Grand Bahama Port Authority as well.
The heated exchange between protesters and port officials continued, which prompted a response from Chief Operating Officer Filcher Grant.
We understand that people are hurting and we represent an organization with Grand Bahamians just like you. We got people that come here every day to do a job and we know that it's not an easy job.
Correct.
It is a job where we come here every day and we know that people are hurting.
Yeah.
We know people. No, it's fine. I'm not afraid. We can talk. We talk.
Chants from the protesters got louder as Grant tried her best to dialogue and hear their concerns.
We cannot get resolution if we are fighting each other and not listening to what we have to say. We came out here to show you the respect to meet with you. We didn't hide behind walls. We didn't hide behind buildings. We faced you. I understand that this is not an easy position to be in. And we are just like you. We live here. We shop here. We have family here. And we want to do the right thing.
Grant pointed out that they have no issue meeting with concerned residents and business owners as they all share a common goal, which is a prosperous Grand Bahama.
We accept that we want the same goal, which is that everybody in Grand Bahama to be able to provide and live well. Then we have a common sense that we can start from. Can we accept that? No, take the tree down. Then let's accept that. Let's accept that. And then we'll move on from there.
Now, organizers of the protest have requested an audience with the Port Authority and have also given them 30 days to respond to the questions posed in the document. Cooper says it should not have gotten this far, but they were forced to take this measure to have their voices heard.
It should not have taken this to bring us to this point. We have spoken with the president and executives. We've voiced our concerns on numerous occasions. And so they've gone on deaf ear. And so we're hoping that from the start of the day that we'll be able to have these matters addressed. We look forward to talking. That's what we want. We want to not just be called stakeholders, but we want to be stakeholders.
A meeting is expected to take place in several weeks. This is a story we will continue to follow. Romiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Rumiko. Well, the leadership of the Grand Bahama Port Authority also coming under fire by residents on Grand Bahama who say their frustration comes from the lack of vision from those in top positions, as residents voice their lack of confidence in the leadership at the Grand Bahama Port Authority. They add that Grand Bahama has been on a downward trend for far too long.
I am a little bit disappointed that there's not a crowd here, because the whole of Grand Bahama should be in this crowd today. For the past, since Princess closed in 2004, the Grand Bahama economy has just been going down. And it seems as if the government doesn't care, Port Authority doesn't care. Who do we talk to? Who cares? We need help in Grand Bahama. Our young students, most of them are leaving the island because they have no work, okay? What else do we need to do here in Grand Bahama but take a procession walk to the Port Authority's building? Look, I lost my husband due to COVID. See the hospital right here? I lost my husband, he was 47 years old. And my thing is, if we had the proper infrastructure, we wouldn't have lost him. I'm tired of the same thing over and over and over and over. We've been too long without a hospital, without an airport, with no hotels, no jobs, nobody could afford, no insurance, no nothing. And if we had insurance, of course he would have been able to fly out of here like the ones who was from the Port Authority, who was sick. How much people they fly out? How much people did they fly out? They fly out their staff. But I couldn't do the same. I couldn't afford to do so. So my husband died right here. See the Round Memorial Hospital right there? That's where he died.
Now, the owner of Knowles Auto Rental, Junior Knowles, says he is open to sitting down and dialoguing with the president, which is his reason for joining this march today.
I saw him on TV yesterday, and I was angry just like the rest of these people. But listen to me, you have to sit down and dialogue with him and hear what he have to say, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to represent me and my company that is hurting now. I'm a licensee, $2,500 a year, licensee with Grand Bahama Port in there, small car rental business. So I want to see what him and his other people up here have to say, and I'll go from there. I'm not going to jump the gun and curse him out and rile him out. I want to hear what he have to say. He's a decent guy, so I'm going to hear him out.
Now, the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable G.B.H.S, releasing a statement on the Let's Take a Stand March. The statement reads, under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement, the Grand Bahama Port Authority is mandated with the responsibility for the development, administration, and management, as well as the provision of services within the port area of Grand Bahama. The statement goes on to say that this administration advocates compassionate leadership and express that social consciousness is an integral part of the restoration of the Grand Bahama economy and community, while adding that the Grand Bahama Port Authority is responsible for the management of the city of Freeport. The minister's statement says business owners and residents within the port area have chosen to peacefully exercise their right to protest, to vocally express their dissatisfaction with the manner in which they perceive that the Grand Bahama Port Authority has managed Freeport. They are entitled to receive the answers that they seek. The Minister for Grand Bahama's statement concludes that the Davis Cooper administration will continue to make every effort for the restoration of Grand Bahama Island for the benefit of the people, adding that they will continue to engage with all stakeholders in this regard. In other news, the nation's leader, Prime Minister Philip Davis, and his delegation returning from the 33rd Intersessional CARICOM meeting in San Pedro, Belize this evening. The Prime Minister was joined by Minister of Foreign Affairs and Public Service, Red Mitchell, Minister for Grand Bahama, G.B.H.S, Parliamentary Secretary to the Ministry of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, John Pinder II, and High Commissioner to CARICOM, Leslie Miller Bryce. The nation's leader discussed matters impacting the region around climate change, COVID-19, and regional security. The Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable G.B.H.S, among the delegation, and she says that the trip was fruitful, adding that some high-level talks and initiatives to improve Grand Bahama's economy was also discussed. The minister is adamant that the island of Grand Bahama will see the benefits of this trip soon. Meantime, the government taking a serious look at the housing challenge that remains 2 years after Hurricane Dorian. Tonight, the Member of Parliament for North Abaco, Kirk Cornish, gives an update on plans to address the issue. This as officials of Urban Renewal travel to that northern island to assess and assist those in need of housing repairs. Member of Parliament for North Abaco, Kirk Cornish, says 2.5 years after Hurricane Dorian, the greatest challenge on the island of Abaco remains housing. But he says since coming to office nearly 6 months ago, the government, through its relevant agencies, along with the nation's leader, Prime Minister Philip Davis, are working hard to address this issue.
6 months going in, we would have had quite a number of ministers visit with Abaco, doing assessment, the Ministry of Works, Housing, Prime Minister would have been over a few times, just to name a few of them, but quite a number of ministers was here. We are doing assessments, we're gathering information, and one of the fruits of those visits is the groundbreaking ceremony held by Ministry of Housing, Minister G.B.H.S. She was in, and we would have located properties in Central Pines and we had a house fair. Right now in Abaco, one of our greatest challenge is housing. Persons are still in need of housing.
The Deputy Director of Urban Renewal, Senator Kirk Russell, is currently on island to assess and assist those who are in need of house repairs.
I'm presently on the ground right now with Representative from Urban Renewal, Kirkland Russell. We're starting a program. We're collecting information today. We want to do some small home repairs, at least about 1,000 homes. And we want to get that done at least before the heart of the hurricane season begins. So there's much work being done. It might appear as if it is being done slow, but it is the process and it is being done. Again, one of the greatest needs I found in Abaco to date still is housing. There are too many persons without homes. And I'm extremely excited that this Davis-led administration is, moving and taking that housing shortage extremely serious and is addressing it with all emphasis being placed on it.
Cornish says over 2 years later, many Abaconians remain displaced.
Yes, quite a number of persons are still displaced off island, and quite a number of persons returned home only to struggle to stay put in places like vehicles, tents, domes, churches, societies, burial societies, buildings, stuff like that. So there is even teachers are having issues to report to work in Abaco because of housing shortage.
While he contends that there are still a lot of infrastructural work that needs to be completed on the island, he says the government remains focused on ensuring that the rebuilding efforts continue as swiftly as possible. Switching gears now, a man diagnosed with epilepsy alleging abuse at the hands of some members of the Grand Bahama Health Services and calling for an investigation into this matter.
I need justice, Dr. Dowell.
A mother making an impassioned appeal to the Minister of Health to look into a situation that she says is heartbreaking. According to her son, Anthony Boleg, this past Monday, he had a second seizure for the second day in a row. But he says his encounter with the ambulance drivers and other medical staff left him with scars and bruises.
I was in a seizure state. They put me in the ambulance, and all I know is when he hit me, I come back out the seizure, and I say, Mom, why you slap me like that? So he hit me again. Bah! When I get slapped again, I go on in another seizure again. And when I wake up, I was to the ambulance with all kind of blood on me. And then when they pulled me through the hallway, he body slammed me on the ground when they yacked me at the ambulance. He backed me in the back of my neck, and then they pulled me through the hallway. And I told him, I say, man, don't do this to me, man. I say, man, come on, man. Don't hit me like this. And I don't know their name, but I know their faces real good. And then this lady who's a security, she comes sticking me with needles like crazy. She say, hold on. Let me give him these needles so you don't feel this pain. And then after she pushed them needles in my heart, they start stomping me on the ground and punching me in my face. And and dragging me on the ground, and that's how I get all of these injuries, trying to protect myself. And I didn't touch nobody in there. I screaming for my life inside the hospital. And I asked, if you see the footages, if you see the security footages, you'll say, yeah, y'all ain't supposed to be doing this to people.
Now, we have not been able to retain any footage of the incident. However, he contends that if the tapes are reviewed, it will prove his experience.
I'm afraid of my life going in the hospital. I'm afraid when I have a seizure and they have to call the ambulance for me, and I have to go into the hospital because this is what has happened. And if I was in the wrong, I would have been locked up long time. Police would have been by me. I have a brother who was the police, so I would have been locked up long time if I was in the wrong. And I still in pain. All on my side, all break right up. My teeth, my premolar in the back, all do up. I got jucks and things on my hands and stuff like that. They try to kill me in there.
His wife, Beth Van Boleg, says that her husband has been having seizures since 2014. But this is not the first time that they have experienced poor service from those who were meant to care for her husband.
He ain't violent now. He ain't violent. He just like, what happened to me just now? Baby just come with epilepsy. That's all I have to say. Just to keep him calm. They are trained to do this kind of work. When an epilepsy person come and they're present, they should know how to handle a person with epilepsy. If they train to do that, strap him down or put him in a DI ward to calm him down.
While Boleg contends that he has done nothing to deserve this behavior, his mother, Joy Wilshcombe, is calling for this matter to be investigated.
Your ambulance driver them would do not know how to deal with patients that were coming like my son.
Yes.
Dr. Dowell, they needs to go. Dr. Dowell, I am hot as a pot. It have to stop.
Now, following our interview with the Boleg family, our ZNS News team reached out to the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. the Honorable Michael Darville, who says that an investigation is underway.
But I would like to let the Boleg family know that I'm on top of it, and a full investigation into this matter is ongoing at the Rand Memorial Hospital. Instances of this kind gives the hospital a bad reputation, and we need clarification because it appears as if there is some element of abuse. If that is the case, we would definitely move on it immediately to ensure that this type of behavior by any staff member at the Rand Memorial Hospital cease and desist.
Well, COVID numbers continuing on a downward trend. The latest COVID-19 dashboard as of today revealing a total of 17 new cases for the country. Grand Bahama 4 cases, Nassau 11, Berry Islands 1, and Long Island 1. The number of hospitalizations on Grand Bahama are 4, of which 3 are moderately ill and 1 person is in the intensive care unit. To date, there have been 771 COVID-19 related deaths, 169 non-COVID-19 deaths, and 43 remain under investigation. Meantime, health officials are reminding residents to continue to take the precautionary measures like washing your hands, covering your cough or sneeze, wearing a mask, and keeping your distance to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And that's going to take us to our first break. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.